The new Build 42 for Project Zomboid introduced a brand new crafting and building interface with many more recipes than the game had ever before. Unfortunately for many players, especially coming from Build 41, a lot of this was related to frustration. For most people, the first encounter with the crafting menu was probably a situation like this. You have your trusted hammer that you've been fighting with, and just like you would in Build 41, you want to repair it, right-click it. You don't see a repair option, so okay, I guess it's in the new crafting menu. So you go in here, you get bombarded by the huge interface. Maybe you use the search function to look for repair and there's nothing in there. Well, I guess, there was this craft option here, which already looks for recipes related to the item I'm using. And then the menu shows you every single recipe that uses a ball peen hammer. In this video, I want to basically give a little guidance on how to get the most use out of the crafting and building menu, to not be overwhelmed by the options, but rather use it quickly, efficiently, and in a way that doesn't obstruct your gameplay in such a massive way. So, coming to our little repair example, your most or strongest tool is this search box here. And what you need to know about this search box is that you have 3 different search options here via this dropdown. Recipe name, required items, and output items. So depending on what you want to do, search for the right thing so you're not getting bombarded with so many options. Like in this case, when we click on craft on an item, what the game does, it switches to required items and puts the item name, the internal item name, here in the search box. So while it's an interesting way to find the recipe, if it's a very common item that's used in many recipes, that's not going to help you. Now let's say I want to repair this hammer and I know I have wood glue, which, in this case I don't have it, but if I had wood glue and I would search for wood glue instead of the hammer, well, here we are, fix with wood glue. So it's called fix, not repair. So I guess if I know that now in the future, I can also here search for fix in the recipe name rather than for repair. And it's still a lot of recipes, but it's much easier to find. Similarly, let's say you have a hatchet head and a medium handle, and you wanna make an hatchet, right? So you search here for hatchet, and well, there's a forge hatchet head which you need to make a smithy, and saw blade hatchet, bone hatchet. No, regular hatchet. Why is it not here? Well, the thing is, the recipe name doesn't always contain the name of the item you're trying to make. So in this case, the smarter option would be, hey, I wanna make something that creates a hatchet. And then we have this wonderful recipe called Assemble Medium Implement, where, if we had a hatchet head, then we would get a hatchet. I don't have the items here right now, so I can't really show it exactly. But that basically helps you with the whole search function. Search in a smart way. Also, I would, for example, in this case also, just put hatchet in here. Don't put hatchet head, and then you're like, oh no, I don't find anything because you forgot a space. Sometimes item names have spaces, sometimes they don't. The game is a little bit inconsistent with the naming sometimes, so limit your search options to what you know is true and to the category that is most likely to give you the results. Again, if we have the hatchet head and a medium handle, and we want to craft a hatchet, and we do the required item search for the right recipe, well, searching for something related to the medium handle is probably also not the best approach, because it gives you, again, a lot of results. If we search again for the hatchet head, much shorter list, much easier to find the thing. So if you're searching for a specific item, take the rarer item, I want to say, the item that's most likely used in fewer recipes. Additionally, of course, if we're looking at the whole interface, you also have the categories here. Now the categories, sometimes it's a little bit arbitrary which category something is in, sometimes it's very clear. Let's say if you want to level up your carving skill, well, take recipes from the carving category, right? If you want to level up your napping, well, that's the napping category. So it already limits it very much what is shown to you, and I think this is the most overwhelming part, having just too many recipes here and you're scrolling for ages, indecisive what to do. Next up, favorites. If you're doing something very, very often, then use this little star here on a recipe to favorite the item. So in the future, you don't have to type anything, you just go to your list of favorites, like something like saw and logs. You're going to do this so often, every time you're standing over some logs, you know, opening the crafting menu and tipping saw. No, just favorite, bam, max, craft, done. So, there's something, I'll come to the building menu a little bit later. There's a little side note about favoriting stuff on the building menu. We'll get to that in a bit. Next topic or next problem people run into when using the crafting menu. So let's say I have here a circular saw blade, and I want to craft a circular saw blade wooden bat, you know, a baseball bat with circular saw blade. Wonderful. The craft button is grayed out. So very often you run into the issue, well, you know, why can I not craft it? So your first approach should always be this little information window up here. Now I see it says missing required items, but I just want to also mention the other stuff. So up here, you see it requires light. If we didn't have light here, you wouldn't be able to craft it. This should also then be a little red icon. Then the little book icon here tells you if you have the recipe or not. So the list will show you recipes that you haven't learned, and if you go to craft it, check here if you actually know how to do this thing. Next one requires surface. So many, the vast majority of crafting options in the crafting menu will require you to have a surface nearby. This can be, of course, inside your house, your countertop, your tables, whatever, but also, you know, a picnic table outside, even a tree stump, even, or I'm not sure, do we have some rocks around, like large boulders out in the wilderness can be used for crafting. So anything like that can be used as a crafting surface. Again, check in your building menu if you can craft this. Like if you're near to a surface, then this will be white, otherwise it should be red. Next up, items. So in this case, you're like, hey, all of these are white, why can I not craft it? Well, if there are too many items required to craft the thing you want to craft, a little scroll bar will be here on the side and hiding, oh, actually, yeah, I'm missing one of the items. Now, since we're talking about the required item section, there's a little thing here to kind of understand what these icons mean. So first of all, anything with this little arrow here will be kept. So this is just a tool you need to do this. Anything with a trash can icon will be used up by the recipe. This is then the icon for, yeah, this is the item that you get. Additionally, you see in the top right corner these little arrows. That means eventually you can check if there's an alternative item you can use. If you don't have all the items and you're like, okay, I don't have a wrench, oh, I can use a ratchet wrench. Don't have a saw, yeah, I can also use a wood saw or a simple wood saw. For some of them, there might be no other possible items. This will always require a hand drill, no alternatives. Will always require nuts and bolts, no alternatives. Well, also, turns out for a saw blade weapon, you always need a saw blade. Shocker, I know. So if I Then come over here, take my leather strips that I perfectly hit earlier, and go here. And now actually, now that I have all the items, I even have in the right-click menu the option to make it right away. And I don't even have to go through the crafting menu. Now the right-click option, again, will only show up if you have all the materials. So while it's a nice quality of life thing to get that, it doesn't help you finding out why you cannot craft it. It helps you to find what you can or cannot craft. Now, I cancelled it, right? Okay. So one last thing here. Let's say we're crafting this, and this is going to take a while. And meanwhile, you have that giant crafting window blocking your view, and you're maybe not in the safest area. You should be in a safe area when crafting, but maybe you're not. You know, depending on what you're crafting. This little arrow is your saver. Minimize the crafting window, and you can still see what's happening around you. Now, if you're only crafting a single item, I think you can close without it canceling the craft, but let's say you're sawing 20 logs, and you know, you went to the crafting menu, 20, click. If you close it, your character will stop after sawing one log. If you just minimize, you still see what's happening around you. We can still see any zombie or enemy player approaching, but you can at least continue crafting in the meantime. I think that's the most important stuff about the crafting menu. You know, use the search function smartly. Use the search options. Use favorite for things that you craft regularly, and then when you're crafting something, see if you can use an alternative item to change the input and the output items. So, and also to figure out if you can't craft something, what you're missing. Also keep the crafting conditions in mind. Recipe knowledge, light, surface. Then finally, when we come to building, there's one more little thing. This little checkbox, show all building quality options. So, for example, again, if you're crafting something, you probably want to favorite an item. But especially when we come to wooden floors, right? If we say show all building options, there are 3 different versions of a wooden floor: basic, advanced, craftsman. So let's say you have low carpentry, you build wooden basic floors, and as the smart man in the video told you, you favorited it. Then you level up to level 2 carpentry. You don't have that checkbox selected, and you go to your favorite, and you're like, where's my basic wooden floors? They're not here, I favorited them. Yeah, because you out-leveled them. They're no longer visible. So, show this option, or just, you know, move on to the next higher recipe. Probably time to unfavorite the basic wooden floors and only build with craftsmen, because they kind of look nicer. So for the building menu, this is kind of same thing. Other than that, building menu, same as the crafting menu. Search option. You don't have a search for an output item because you're not building items, you're building structures, furniture, walls, etc. So make sure to search what you're looking for. And again, the ingredient options are the same. Usually light is your most common factor here when building something. And obviously for building, you don't need a surface most of the time. Well, I hope this little video helps you get all your crafting and building done and not be intimidated by the giant menu. And if you have any more questions, I'm happy to answer anything in the comments. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time.